can't believe I'm regretting not watching more isekai anime. How the heck do I get back to the real world?
From the skies we came, fallen angels to the ground, carried upon the winds like leaves to the grass. We two are one, never alone, never ever forgotten, forever left to roam. We dream of the skies, the stars, the planets, and the very hot sun thrown out from heaven. We two are one, never alone, never ever forgotten, forever left to roam. Raise our flags high, call the warriors out. Come see our brave ones, forgotten but never undone. We two are one, never alone, never ever forgotten, forever left to roam. Reach again for the heavens, forget the lost ones, fight on for them until the end We two are one, never alone, never ever forgotten, forever left to roam.
Welcome to the Monkey Show. I am your host, the Monkey King of Zoolandia. How are you all doing out there? Today we've got some quick follow-up on past discussions we've had, news items and so on, and then we're going to move on to talking about China and a sub that went down in 2024, but now seems to be polluting the the Philippines fisheries, the Philippines islands, oceans. So, the water's out there. So we're going to start off straight away with this news that's coming out of Japan. Grok isn't confirming it or anything, but like a right angle news network here is putting out saying that breaking Japan's new right wing. They always say right wing, right? Basically, right wing is now the center right, I guess, center left. So Japan's new right-wing majority has banned all public displays of Islam, including all calls to prayer, street prayers, and large mosques, and has blocked further productions of halal food and Muslim cemeteries, stating that Japanese burial customs must now be followed. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate or what, but yeah. So there was some, interesting, and let me see if I put the link to this post here in the chat, so you can follow that up and see what the feedback on that is, and further comments and statements. But this just came out about 3 hours ago or so. So there's this post here by Samurai Voice saying Japan's Prime Minister unveiled many anti-Islam laws by banning large mosques, call to praying in the street. See, the large mosques are not paid by local Muslims because they don't have that much money, right? A lot of this money for these large mosques, because they want to show force and power, right? That we're strong, right? So they get money from the Middle East and from other countries, usually Iran, right? Qatar, places that are very, proactive in pushing forward their Islamic agenda across the world. So now I need to Frisk says here, follow Japan's example, right? This is like DHS Gov, White House, and I'm asking for my government to follow that example as well in New Zealand, right? Because look, there's different ways of invasion, and this is one of the ways of invasions, right? So where they come in with a huge force, and like this earlier post says that like there are no examples in history of Islam assimilating into other countries, cultures, right? There are only examples of Islam dominating, conquering other cultures. So you can either like go no, thank you, or accept it, and next thing in about a decade or so, huge Islam mosques will be built up. In Christchurch, New Zealand, there's actually two in a place called Christchurch, in a city in New Zealand, the South Island, where it's frigging cold. Even I couldn't handle the coldness there, right? And we were visiting. It's one of the coldest areas in New Zealand. The South Island is like the colder temperature area in New Zealand. So you won't see that many dark-skinned people. But here, this is what's crazy. You've got people from Fiji, one of the hottest climates, right? Tropical climates, moving to Christchurch because there's a mosque there. No, there's two mosques there. And that's the same mosque that was shot up by an Australian who came over here and decided to, hey, you know what? This is too much. But now those Muslims are shooting up Australians, right? At Bondi Beach last year. So let me remind you, Islam is not a religion or a race. Islam is an authoritarian political doctrine which imposes itself by force. Any political doctrine that calls to kill those who do not believe in it is not a religion. Islam is not a religion. It is a cult that glorifies death. All right. That's enough of that. Let's move on. So next up, there's some crazy stuff happening in New York, right? We've got this here. Palestinians tried to ban dogs in New York City for being un-Islamic.
Famous Palestinian activist calls for dogs to be banned as indoor pets in New York City because they are un-Islamic.
This is like torturing the dog. This is what Muslim kids are taught from childhood, right? From birth, I guess, until they know what their dog is, right? Understand what a dog is, to hate dogs. So I say to you, Westerners, you know, if you have the area or space and you're allowed to in your apartments or wherever you're renting to get a dog, allowed to have a dog, get a pet puppy, right? Never mind cats, get a dog. They're loyal. Imagine doing this to a dog. It's probably not even their dog. It's definitely not their dog, right? Because you'd never treat an animal like this. See, this is what Islam looks like. This is like, we're the dogs, and this is Islam, right?
I can't even watch this shit. I cannot believe I'm about to make this fucking video for you. Okay? Pro-Palestinians are trying to ban dogs in places like New York City. There are activists that are calling for them to be banned as they are, quote, un-Islamic as indoor pets in New York City. I just want to let you know that I am extremely sensitive to anger, violence, abuse towards animals. It's something I have a very difficult time tolerating. There's none of that in here. There's a video of a group of kids bothering a dog. There's nothing violent. I would never in my life highlight anything like that on this channel. I can't even see more than 2 seconds of it on my own on a feed. But I want to let you know that this is one of the rare times that you will probably open this platform and see me in a place of borderline anger. From the Daily Mail News.
Like I said, they don't assimilate. They want you to change to their way. And this is what Westerners don't understand at all, man. And people say like, oh, you're right wing, you're harping on, I got called out for like, what is that, grifting for the right wing. It's like, dude, I'm from an island where Muslims basically took over the Indian culture, right? I remember back in I think it was about 2006, 7, maybe. Hold on, no, it was 2002, where I was visiting my cousin and my uncle in their city in Suva, at their home, I should say, in Suva, Fiji, which is the capital of Fiji, Suva, right? And so he said to me, hey, right, brother, see that house over there? It used to be Indian. Now it's Muslim. See that house over there? And this is just around his house. He goes, that house over there, they used to be Indian. Now they're Muslim. They used to be Indian. Now they're Muslim. I said, well, how's that? And say, oh, because Muslims came and gave them money. And so you have a lot of this money handed out that people don't understand in West, that how so fast that Islam would grow is because they go out and hand money out to people, right? Get them groceries, right? Rather than going, you help yourself. It's like, no, we'll help you if you come to our religion. And now they want you to not have dogs. Man, I wish I was living in a house, right? In my own property and stuff. I'm actually renting and have been since I was like 16, right? There's times when I was going to buy a house and then just fell through, and stuff happens. Life happens. But I would definitely get a puppy because I want an Alamut. Those Alaskan wolf dogs. That's my favorite dog in the world. I would love one of those. Every Westerner should have a dog now. right? Like if you have the space, get a dog, man. Do it for me because I don't have the space.
Famous Palestinian activist calls for dogs to be banned as indoor pets in New York City because they are un-Islamic. You guys recognize her? In Islam, dogs are labeled haram and filthy. This is how kids in Pakistan are taught to treat them. Call this out, and you're told it's Islamophobia.
Like I said, they're basically torturing a dog, man.
I honestly, I can't even watch this shit. I can't even watch this shit. Jason Bedrick wrote on X, Jews don't eat bacon, but we don't lobby to stop others from eating bacon. Mormons don't drink coffee, but they don't try to ban coffee for others. The Amish, don't use electricity, but they don't try to shut down power plants. Islamism, as distinct from Islam, is a political agenda to force everyone to conform to Sharia law. We must resist the Islamists. I actually really love the way that this is written for several reasons. One, it is doing an objective comparison to other religions in modern society that do not try to get people to conform underneath their hood or ideology. Jews and rabbis don't sit outside handing out flyers on their important agenda to get people to convert to Judaism. In fact, if you ask anybody who's converted to Judaism, it is a robust, long, and hard process. My favorite part about this is the distinction between Islamism and Islam, which we do not do enough of. A lot of people conflate the two. A lot of people just throw everyone that is a Muslim into the Islamism problem. I don't think that's okay. I do not think
That's why I always say Islam, right? I don't say Muslims. I say Islam. It's a big description, right? Islam is a doctrine, right? And here's the thing: it's not a race. It's not an ethnicity. Islam is an ideology, a political movement.
right. I don't know. I think this is the first video I've ever made that had to do with something along the lines of treatment to dogs and animals. Look, I'll be honest with you. I just don't. I can't stomach this shit. It digs into emotions that I do not want to necessarily have anymore in my life, which is anger and revenge. You know, like I just can't deal with that shit. And
I feel the same way, right? Like that if they had their way, they'd just kill every dog in the world. These Islamists, right? And that's sad. I mean, people mistreat dogs around the world, but they're the most loyal pets ever, right? They're the most loyal creatures ever in the world. And just to see these Muslims, Islamists, right, treating, and yeah, Pakistanis and so on, right, around the world, treating animals that are such great creatures and such, amazing animals this way. So next up, we got a clip from Esmond Gold about how. Wait, what happened there? Sorry, it's like
there's two clips going viral.
There was don't know what happened, but like it gave me a whole bunch of oh, I see what happened. I know what happened. Let me just do this and see if I can get that without. Yeah, here we go. volume
There's
up.
2 clips going viral of Clinton and Obama. Oh, what's this here?
I understand we are fighting an ideological battle that is as old as time.
Yep, that's right.
There are those of us who are more comfortable in a more open, tolerant world. And there are those who have their concerns about it because they worry about the impact on existing institutions like the family, community, and others. Yes, migration has been a huge flashpoint. More people were deported under my husband and Barack Obama without killing American citizens and without putting children into detention camps.
Well, I thought Obama did that because he even made the camps.
People did die under ICE. 56 individuals died while in ICE custody. This is during the Obama administration.
There is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way.
What is the...
What's a humane way? Your parents came over here illegally, because that's what she's trying to get at, right? Kids. Parents came over here illegally. Then they have children here who, while they're illegal. So without having, the best thing to do is not separate the family, move them all out. Oh, but they're American citizens. No, they're not. Their parents were illegal, therefore the kids are illegal, right? If the parents are illegal, then the kids are illegal. There is no such thing as humane way to remove people from your country that are illegal. You just deport them. They came illegally, right?
How do you humanely separate a family and then send that person who's not supposed to be here back to their country? We need to do it in a humane way. It's just code for we don't want to deal with immigration. And before you talk about, oh, well, you could do it more easily, we did do it more easily. We allowed people to self-deport. We give them money to self-deport. They don't do that. They know they're here illegally. They stay here, and then they fight with the police.
But what is also...
Yeah. And then they lawyer up because AOC basically says, we'll teach you how to lawyer up. We'll provide you lawyers. We'll get you training how to defend yourself against ICE when they come knocking on your door. Rather than saying, yes, I shouldn't be here. I broke your country's law. Therefore, I'm a criminal. Yeah, I might have actually raped some people. Yeah, I might have killed some kids. Yes, I might have drove under the influence of alcohol or drugs and ran over people, right? Or I might have robbed someone, or I might have done some home invasion and killed some old ladies. But no. AOC and Democrats are teaching them how to lawyer up against ICE to not get deported for being criminals and illegals in the country, right? It was okay when Obama and Clinton was doing it, right? But no, not under Trump. Basically, the American people voted for this, for the removal of criminal and illegals from their country. I have no idea, Elasmat. I have no idea. So I'm doing a solo today. It'll be a short one, but it'll be just me.
But what is also true is that we're a nation of laws. We have borders.
Yeah,
and we've got to figure out an immigration policy that is fair and is enforced in a sensible way. We've got to accommodate the reality that the majority of the American people think that there's a difference between somebody who's a U.S. citizen and somebody who's not, and that they want
See, he's using another qualifying statement. The majority of the American people believe. He's not using his own words. He's
back when he was in power. It was about law. The American people, this is the law now. You're either a citizen or you're not. If you're not a citizen, you get deported. Right? If you come through the doorway, right, legally, then that's fine. You go through that process. Why should you be able to get over illegally from all around the world? And this is what people don't understand. It's not just Mexicans, South Americans. It's Indians. It's Africans. It's Asians, it's Chinese, it's Russians, right? It's Middle Eastern people, right? So people always concentrate like, oh, not the South Americans, they just our neighbors. No, they don't remember that these are able-bodied men that are coming from all around the world, right? And without papers, legal papers, they're basically going to be working on the table, right? Or they're going to get involved in crime. Or they're going to be human trafficked. I saw a whole video investigation by the newspaper, the TV station, where they were housing 11 Chinese working 7 days a week. I think it was about 11 to 14 hours a day. Going to the house, picking them up, 5 o'clock in the morning, dropping them off at 9 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the morning, dropping them. Everybody looking down, the neighbor said. They were watching the ground, looking at their feet, hollow-eyed. That's what happens when you're illegal. You got no rights. Right? We see that happen in New Zealand. Indians coming over here from India, taking the passports from the people that they got over, who paid them to bring over. They take their passports off them, even in my own city here, right? Took their passports off them and then made them work long hours, and they wouldn't let them go. They wouldn't let them release. It's basically like slavery, right? That's human trafficking, forced into freaking labor. And it was like this, man, I remember when because it was a restaurant, right? This really big, famous restaurant in Whangarei City, right? I went to it for my 21st, I think it was it was my first Halloween dress up. It was like about 94, I think it was. And it was freaking the best place ever. It was packed. And then to see it again 20 years later, right? 30 years later, just nothing. It's empty. It was like everybody was basically illegal there. The manager and his wife were basically living at large on the backs of these Indian migrants, right? Who weren't even supposed to be in the country, right? But they got in there because there's people who are in our countries in the West who are basically selling out, who are migrants, by the way, who are basically taking money, thousands of dollars to get these people over here illegally, right? And then forcing them to work for them to pay it off. And that's what's happening around the world. And nobody wants to think about that, the exploitation. Just deport them, let them go back to the countries and stay there. How are they able to come up with $20,000 to pay for these coyotes, right? These human traffickers. Why don't they just stay in their country and use that to make their lives better? Well, because the American dollar's better. The American lifestyle is better. But I thought America's bad. I thought America's the most racist country in the world. Then why are these people coming to America if it's so bad? Right? That's what I don't understand when they have these the leftists have this idea about oh, America bad, America bad. It's like, well, how come everybody's running to America then if it's so bad? If they're willing to die in the desert of thirst, why are they coming? If it's so bad.
Looking and paraphrasing other people so he can effectively not have ownership of this idea himself.
Sometimes I think what happens in the online debate is if somebody suggests, well, we have to have some immigration enforcement, then somebody's going to point at that child and say, well, so you don't care about that kid. Yeah. So you must be.
No, that's not up to the government to care about that kid. It's up to their parents. And the parents came over illegally. And they had their kids on purpose, because this is what happens, right? Back in the 90s, we had this issue. I think it was 90s, 2000s. We had this issue where Chinese people, women, right, would come over here 8 months pregnant on holiday just to have their baby in New Zealand and be classed as a New Zealand citizen for their baby. So, future planning. They could come over because now their child is a New Zealand citizen. And this is where we decide going, hey, that's not right. Why are you coming over here? Why are you coming over here with being pregnant that late? That's not only dangerous to your child, right? But also dangerous, and it's also like basically using up our resources that our own citizens should be getting. But no, you're taking up that bed. You're taking up that resources, right? And this is what people don't understand, is that whenever an illegal is using our laws against ourselves, because our kindness, I should say, against ourselves, our tolerance against ourselves, they're basically abusing us, right? And taking resources from our own citizens and putting them into their own pockets. And it's happening all the time. And people are like, oh, we have to be tolerant. We have to be kind. We have to show much. To an extent, yes, come legally, right?
Be a bad person. The same would be true, let's say, here in Los Angeles around the homeless issue. I think morally, ethically speaking, it is an atrocity that in a country this wealthy, we have people on the streets.
Okay, problem.
Well, that's because all the resources are being used in housing and freaking sorting out illegals who don't pay taxes, right? Because you don't get your freaking Social Security number. We in New Zealand have an ROD, right? Our own Social Security number, right? So you don't get that. Therefore, you are not paying into the system. You're not paying into your own resources of your country. You're not paying into the accident compensation like we have in New Zealand, right? Because we don't have have to have insurance. So we have car insurance and stuff, but if we get hurt while we're playing, out there, fall over and break a leg, our own taxes take care of us. We don't have to insurance for that, right? When I fell over and onto glass in a nightclub back in the 94, I think it was, or was it? Yeah, I think it was 94, and slipped my wrist on my right hand and was bleeding out, and then was taken to hospital. I didn't have to pay for any of that. I didn't have to pay for surgery, didn't have to pay for therapy, didn't have to get my tendons stitched up, right? Didn't have to have to pay for 3 days in hospital. That's because we all paid for that as citizens, right? Because that's the whole point of being a citizen, that you're paying into your own country's resources to support your own countrymen. But when you got so many illegals, like we in New Zealand, there's 1 million migrants and we only have 5 million people. Right? That's crazy. In America, there must be tens of millions of immigrants. Illegal ones I'm talking about. Right?
Identified. Go get them.
We simply say, you know what? It's not their fault, and so they should be able to do whatever they want. That's a losing political strategy.
It's another time he's not giving his own opinion. Talking about this as a definitional thing.
Times is the arguments that are taking place, but they become sort of performative, and people start
He's right.
saying, oh, you're selling out, you're being impractical.
So let me just go ahead and explain it. So this is what you do with the homeless people. You just go around, round them up, put them in some house, put them in some area. If they're crackheads, you put them in a rehab. That's it. Problem solved. By the way, this is the moral and ethical thing to do. This is the main thing that annoys the fuck out of me. Whenever I see any of this, Obama saying this or Hillary Clinton saying this.
That's a losing political strategy.
It's a losing political strategy because it's fucking retarded. Yeah. That's the reason why it's a losing political strategy.
And this is why nothing gets done, because these people when there's a political strategy, they mean they want power. If it doesn't give them power, there's no point in them being able to, do anything about it. I want to just to follow up on another story from previous week. We talked about the whole the Winter Olympics and how these sports people, right, representing America, were talking about ICE and stuff and talking about immigration, things they shouldn't even be talking about. It's like when I say in concerts, right? When people go to when you go to another country and you play concert, don't talk about the country's politics. Just play the music and then get off the stage.
Something big is happening, and the International Olympic Committee knows it. The ratings are slipping, the energy feels different, and across America, people are saying the same 3 words: turn it off.
It's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights.
This is not about sports anymore. This is about Team USA. This is about athletes like Amber Glenn standing on the world stage in Italy and saying that they have mixed emotions about representing the United States while wearing the American flag. Meanwhile, President Donald J. Trump, he's in office. ICE is enforcing immigration law. Polls from the New York Times, the ABC News, CBS News, and even the Marquette University, they're showing a majority of Americans support deportations. The country has clearly shifted, but some Olympic athletes are speaking like America is the problem. Sound familiar? This is the same backlash we saw when the NFL chose Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show, and millions felt lectured instead of entertained.
Because you're speaking it in what they deem to be a foreign language. That is a legitimate point that the president made. That part.
When you guys chose Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl, there was some blowback from that. I wonder what you make of that situation and what went into the decision to choose Bad Bunny as your Super Bowl halftime performer.
He's one of the leading and most popular entertainers in the world. That's
one of the funniest thing is, like, the number one selling record right now is by Megadeth. Why don't you have Megadeth, an American band, 40-year veterans? I think it's about 45 now. Yeah, about 45-year veterans of music. Right? Why not have them? They've just released the album, number one record in the world, right? Oh no, we'll get Bad Bunny. It was funny watching all those people, like, who were there not even look at the stage. They were like just bored. People at home, I've watched this old lady just go, "What is this shit?" This actual old black lady, about in the 70s or 80s, because she had white afro, like short white afro, like white hair. So she's about in her 70s or 80s. Because I'm in my 50s, I'm getting like grays, right? But she was like straight out there, white hair. And she was like, "What is this shit? Get on with the game," right?
That's what we try to achieve on stage for us. It's an important element to the entertainment value that I'm not sure we've ever selected an artist where we didn't have some blowback or criticism. Literally hundreds of millions of people that are watching. But we're confident it's going to be a great show.
Here's the question no one in the media wants you to ask. What happens when regular Americans feel insulted by the very people supposed to represent them? Well, tonight we're going to go ahead and break down exactly why viewers are walking away and why this may be the biggest cultural inflection point the Olympics has ever faced. Be sure to stick with me, guys. Subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy the video by the end, be sure to drop a like for me if I've earned it. Now, let's go ahead and start with the part that nobody...
Yeah, do the same for me. You know, subscribe, like, leave a comment if you feel like I've earned it.
Inside the Olympic Media Committee wants to say out loud. The vibe is different. Now, for decades, the Olympics were untouchable. Families planned their evenings around it. Classrooms rolled in the TVs. Y'all remember that with the VCR on there? Entire cities stopped to watch it. I mean, it wasn't just a sporting event. This was a shared national moment. Now, people are scrolling on past it, and you can feel it. The energy isn't excitement. It's irritation. It's fatigue. A lot of people don't even know that the Olympics are going on right now.
I didn't even know. Like, seriously, I didn't even know the Winter Olympics were on. I didn't even know when the Olympics are on, or the Summer Olympics, right? Or the Commonwealth Games. I've just opted out, just like with the award ceremonies, you know, for movies and stuff, or even music. I just have opted out. It's like, even though I'm online every day, all the time, because when I'm working, I'm on my tablet, right, on my Wacom. And I have a screen on, and I have another screen on side by it. So, you know, I have three screens on at the same time. So I'm able to catch up on different things all the time. News items, you know, collecting clips for the show, you know, throughout the day whenever I see something come up that look interesting. But nobody cares anymore. It's a participation awards thing, right? You go there, you do your thing, and you go home. You know, you do your best and you go home. But no, these guys want to stick around and give political messages to people. Like, here's the thing that nobody in the rest of the world thinks the way the left do in America about immigration. Everywhere else, people are like, hey, you're illegal, get out of my country. Round them up. But in America, it's like, oh, we got to help them. We need to look after them. We need to give them our resources. Same thing's happening in the UK. Illegals, they're putting them up in the thing. So anywhere there's a leftist government, right, or that has been in power, that's implemented these things, that's how they've trained their people to think. Because you know why? Because these people will give them votes. That's why in New Zealand, every time Labour Party has election time, Labour Party, which is basically left, American left, right, in New Zealand and Australia and America, UK, Labour is basically the politically left party. So in New Zealand, they'll go out and say to the people on the social welfare, EBT in America. I'm not sure what they call it elsewhere, but it's UB40, unemployment benefit, right? So they'll go, well, vote for us, you people who are having to rely on unemployment benefit, or people like me who actually aren't allowed to work due to injuries, right? Neck and spine injuries. So we'll give you $20 extra a week if you vote for us. That is crazy. It's like, so who's going to pay for that $20 extra in my pocket? Well, the taxpayer, the hardworking people. Oh, so you're going to take from them to give to me, even though I've done nothing for it, even though I've paid my taxes and into the ACC and everything that before my accident, right? Before the car smashed into me. Anyway, so now I actually voted against that. I voted against that party because I realized that this was all about votes and taking from the citizens, from my fellow citizens to give to me, and the other million, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are unemployed, and helping them to stay unemployed because they're going to get a bit more money. This is how the left works. They don't want you to advance forward. They don't want you to work hard towards something. They want you to stay in that hole, be unemployed, and vote for them every year, every 4 years, right? Because they don't really care about you bettering yourself or bettering society or your community. They just want the vote. They'll do anything for the vote. And they would go to the Pacific Island community, and they would go to Fiji community, they would go to the Asian communities, and they'll go there and they'll go to the churches, and they'll go, oh, we will look after you, vote for us. Not like for New Zealand, we will take care of everybody, vote for us. We'll take care of one people, all of us. We'll look after all of this. No, we'll look after you, Pacific Islanders. No, we'll look after you, Indians. No, we'll look after you, Asians. That's how they divide. Leftists are really good at dividing people. They say they're all about unifying. No, they're very, very divisive political ideology, I should say, leftism.
Have become. And when viewers say, man, turn that off, this is not laziness. This is not apathy. This is a decision. This is not just about ratings charts. This is about cultural rejection. This is about Americans sensing that something sacred representing your country is being treated casually.
Sure, I understand. You worked your ass off since you were born to get really, really good at a sport. You made it to the Olympics team, not even an alternate. You get on a plane, go overseas to a strange foreign land, sit down,
Italy.
and instead of talking about your sport, you decide you're going to talk about and take questions about how much you can't stay in the country, whose flag you're wearing on your... What the is wrong with you? You shouldn't be there. Somebody who loves the country should be there, even if they suck at the sport and won't even get in the top 10. They should be there waving the American flag, proud of where they're from.
100%.
You think you're better off in Italy? Have you seen the history of Italy? By the way, what are you complaining about in the United States? What specifically do you think you know? Because I'm here to tell you, you don't know what you think you know. So instead of going there and representing my family and me and our flag of this country, you're representing your own lunacy. You're representing your own unintelligentness, which isn't a word. You're representing your own delusion about what you think is going on in the country that gave you all this opportunity.
When the Olympics stopped feeling like a...
The link for that is in the chat for the rest of the video. So, yeah. If you're wearing the flag of my country, you represent all of us. You're not a solo act anymore. So stop pretending like you're a solo act, saying what you think our country should be doing, and in this case, America should be doing. Right? It's like your left brain does not compute. Right? Like they say, back in the 80s when computers first came out, it was like G.I. Joe, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If your coding is wrong, you're going to get trash coming out, right? Rubbish in, rubbish out. And a lot of the leftist people, they don't know history. When the guy was talking about Italy, where the Winter Olympics was, Mussolini, go look that up. Leftists, you have no idea how many people he killed. Fascism, right? Moving on, we are looking at this thing happened this week, which is very sad. So yeah, from sports to follow up on this thing. Well, we didn't actually talk about it. I didn't even know it happened, and it just suddenly was there. So this is a clip from Esmond Gold. I think it just popped out yesterday. So I haven't been able to look at more detail, but this is not cool.
What? Wait, what? A trans man in Canada who stabbed his... Wait, what?
Good morning. It's your favorite hobo you love to hate. I just wanted to do a check-in.
Atwood was arrested but then released until his next court date. An 8-year-old child whose esophagus was severed in the attack faces several months on a feeding tube. Atwood's social media social media platforms, including Discord and Facebook, have had posts mention the attack since his arrest. I stabbed a hole in his shoulder, yes, but held it shut until EMS arrived. He's talking about an 8-year-old child. He stabbed an 8-year-old child. Yes, I stabbed it, but I didn't slash it like that at all. I was trying to. Why was this person let out? Because he was arrested but then released until he stabbed an 8-year-old child.
And let people know that I am being
living in this car.
safe. I'm being secure. I have...
Atwood was arrested but then released until the next court date. An 8-year-old child whose esophagus was severed in the attack faces several months on a feeding tube. Atwood's social media platforms, including Discord and Facebook, have had posts mentioning the attack since their arrest. I stabbed a hole in her shoulder, yes, but I held it shut until EMS arrived. Yes, I stabbed her, but I didn't slash her like that at all. I was trying to remain optimistic given my situation, but that doesn't mean that I haven't been remorseful. It sucks and I apologize. I'll just take my space and do my therapy.
Taking care of.
Wait, he said I lost my mind for a second, but not that much. I double checked Wiki's arm after too. Apparently, I must have talked to the wrong people. Dude, like we said, the mental health is just rampant amongst the trans people.
Sucks and I apologize. I'll just take my
he stabbed an 8-year-old child.
Space and do my therapy.
Taking care of my needs, and I am just chilling until I actually go for my sentencing. And yeah, I did kind of realize that we do have
why isn't this freaking dude in jail for manslaughter? He stabbed an 8-year-old child. This is 2-tier law system. If this was a normal straight person, or someone's just not crazy, right? Or a trans lunatic like him, they'd be in jail.
highly unique opportunity here, whereas I'm someone who did something heinous and I'm on social media, whereas pretty much all the other people who do something heinous get locked in a box.
Yes, Yes. Even he freaking sees how stupid this is.
And blocked out from society, and they don't get to talk to them. So,
Yep, and if it was up to me, it'd be you too. Anybody that does this should just be lucky they're not being harvested for their organs.
does it put me?
Yeah, I think this dude should get prison justice. He stabbed an 8-year-old child. And that's not cool. However,
the time.
I don't think like that. I always feel like a hot young star, on the other hand. You know what I mean? Why not? Why not? You know? I mean, I say that in jest. It neither has any meaning nor doesn't have it. I mean, everyone should think of themselves as that, you know?
Where's that woman?
She made a rather hasty exit in that direction.
To where, though?
Hello, can you hear
I'm
me?
unsure.
Oh yeah, she's gone, free at last.
Can you hear me?
who is this? Who is this?
You know who it is. You know who it is.
How's
Come on.
how's it going? You're live.
Yeah, I know, and I'm late. I was looking for I was looking for a new place, and I checked the time. I'm like, oh crap! So I'm here at Del Taco.
That's all right. I mean, I knew you. Yeah, you got crazy stuff to do. So yeah, I wasn't going to stress out about it. So
Yeah.
welcome, Timothy. Lesmet was asking for you.
Yeah, he was. He was.
All right. So this dude we're looking at is called Alice Atwood, and he stabbed in. Before you laugh too much,
Oh no, I'm
he
not
stabbed
laughing
in.
at the name.
Yeah, but he stabbed a child
Why?
because he just did. She was 8 years old, and instead of putting him in jail like normal law, but because he's special, you know, he's all special, they let him out. And even he thinks that's weird because he should be locked up. But he's out on bail. He's out. They didn't even say about bail. They just let him go after he stabbed an 8-year-old child.
That guy's a monster.
By the way, yeah, and that's why I'm hoping for prison justice. Because he's laughing about it. He's worrying about his self-care. He's like, I'm here on social media when I should be locked up. So anyway, I hate that voice I do, but like, yeah, all right. It deserved this voice for that. So Timothy, Lesmet says Timothy was busy with blood sports. And of course you go, nah, I did not start it, but I will finish it.
Well, okay, so for a few years now, a certain person has been poking him at me, you know, here and there for literally no reason. I didn't start it with him. I don't know what I said or what I did, but we had a falling out. I blocked him. And like, I don't know, a while passes. He messages Edwin and has Edwin send the message that he wants me to unblock him. We make peace on Rex Christensen's YouTube show. And I thought, okay, all good. And I even share out, like, you know, like when he tweets about his, you know, book or the book he never finished because, you know, Ice Age is coming or some bullshit. And and so he sends me a DM on X where he's spurging out. And I don't know what I said, but I said I blocked him because I have no time for this bullshit. I said to myself, if he doesn't come out with that book by the end of 2025, I'm all in on this motherfucker.
Yep.
So he didn't come out with the book, and I just started kind of poking and prodding at him back because I didn't do anything to him. But he says that I'm a terrible writer, even though he's only read like 2 books out of the 4, and they're like, I was a very new writer, so I was learning as I went because some of these creators have no time to give you any tips or tricks or anything, or any so you gotta like learn as you go.
Oh, I've been there. Like the first one we put out was Incredible, the webcomic, and that cost me about $500 of my own money to print, right?
Yeah.
And there was only like about 50 issues or something. It cost $10 per book to print here in New Zealand. And I when I finished printing it, I looked at it and I said, well, this is not good.
Oh yeah, I knew that an open number one was not a a blockbuster. I knew that it was going to have a very cult kind of underground appeal because it's not perfect. And so every book I write has to be better than the last one. And I really do try to make it entertaining. I'm not trying to say anything grandiose. I'm just trying to entertain people.
Right.
Because he was like, what are you trying to say? Because he says that I don't have a plot in my book, and that stuff just happens. And I'm like, well, I've had book reviews, and I actually have books that are finished to actually, show. Because he also claims that I also rip off readers. And my opinion is, like, you have to have books to have readers.
Yeah.
And so,
how do you rip off readers if you don't have books, right?
And how would they be able to review my books if they didn't have them? And people have actually taken pictures that they've gotten their books in the mail. And I don't, and like once I submit it to RJ, I don't have anything to do with like the distribution or anything. It's put together and sent to people. If you order it from Amazon, Amazon sends it to you. I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
so
I'm the same, right? Like once I hand it over to my publisher does a Kickstarter. I respond to people's questions about it. I promote it. I talk about it.
Yeah.
Once it gets fully backed, it goes to printing, right?
Right.
And if there's any issues with that, it comes back to me and goes, hey, do you need to correct this or that? Then I correct it and I send it back. And then it goes back on, the bottom of the list of printing and then goes to print. And so people who have never done it don't understand this, right? So people who actually haven't finished a book don't understand the process when it comes to actually, from actually creating it, writing it, and then going all the way to print, and then actually sending it and having it in other people's hands.
Well, I've actually earned my stars and bars. I mean, I remember crowdfunding. I'd get like 4 hours of sleep. I'd be promoting and sending out links all night. I've put in my time, and I think I've earned my stars and bars. But this guy thinks he's the shit, and he's never successfully put a book together. It's always someone else's fault. His first project fell apart, and it's Ali's fault all of a sudden. So he's going at her, or Dario. Oh dang, Freudian slip. Whoops. This, or like Dillard. It's Dillard's fault, or he had a falling out with Christian Rossi or something, and now it's his fault because he's working for Tom Tuttle or some garbage. And it's like, just find another artist, quit blaming everybody else for the fact that for your suckage.
The other thing is that, like, because of the position I sit in with being a publisher and as well as a studio head, right, director, we get a lot of artists who will come and start projects and they will drop out.
Exactly.
Not a lot.
That's just
there is a
how
percentage.
it is, right?
Yeah. And they will come, like one guy almost completed an entire book, decided he got upset about something, and that was it. He just stopped. I'm not working on this anymore. I was like, dude, you're like about 4 or 5 pages away from completing this project.
Right.
So now that project sits there, and now I've got to find an artist with a similar art style and pay that guy to come and do this, to complete this work.
Yeah.
But it's one of 8 issues. Right.
Right. And just and he says that my parody character is Zed and Odysseus, which is a parody of droids. It's unoriginal. And I'm like, you have a frog character when there's Frog Tony and EVS is Cyberfrog. You came up with a certain werewolf book when there was a lot of characters a lot of creators in Comicsgate thinking of werewolf books. You just threw in other genres to make it different. He has a character that looks like it could fit into the pages of Cyberforce. Just don't tell me that my characters are not original when you're and don't tell me how a thing or two about a thing or two when you haven't even finished a book.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, he says the Ice Age is coming and he's the next big thing. It's like, you're nothing. You're a joke. You know, you came at me for literally no reason. What did I ever do to you? Kind of, you know.
Well, people tend to like think that much highly of themselves. Like me, I don't. That's why I call myself the Monkey King, right? I don't, and I think this is the problem with a lot of people in indie comics is that they think they're the next best thing. You're just another person in the indie comic scene, and it's the reader and the backers who decide if your work is good and whether you deserve their their backing and their support to talk about your book elsewhere. And this, like in the past, the way we used to like support what we liked was we'd tell everybody about it. We'd make copies of the tape and hand it out to friends, right? Hey, check out this mixtape. Look, this I put this songs together. These are my favorite bands, right? Or here, like one time, right, I saw this guy who liked a Silver Surfer comic book and was just sitting there. I didn't even know he was into comics. And so I said to him, hey, I picked up your comic book and I put it upstairs. Dude, I'm into comics as well. Come and check out my lot. And you can read them if you want. But he wasn't really into X-Men or anything, so he just stuck to his Silver Surfer. But this is, we always like, if we like something, we talk about it. If we don't like something, we won't talk about it. So you'll never hear me talking about Marvel Comics anymore or DC Comics anymore because they bore me. But I love manga and I'm watching it all the time, so I'll talk about it. And this is the thing about like having fans, right? You grow fans through people talking about you, about telling other people how good your work is and stuff, and what you enjoyed in it. And a lot of times these people, think they're going to be the next big thing as a creator, but they're not. It's really the backers and the support we get from backers and readers that actually help us be where we want to be. So
I'm all for, like, if he gets it done and it is the next big thing, I'll say yeah, he is. But I used to even share out links to his pages and say, hey, check this out. But then he turns around and attacks me for no reason. So that's all I have to say about this mess.
Well, I think myself and you we're in the same boat. People are out here attacking us for no reason, even when we don't attack them, right?
Right.
I've just had that in the last couple of weeks. You know about that. I was called a right-wing grifter for Muslims. Because I'm like all of a sudden talking about Muslims and Islam.
Right.
Sorry, I said Islam, not Muslims. Yeah.
And I just want to say that I never said I was the best writer in the world. I just want to entertain people, and if people like what I do, awesome. If they don't, I'm sorry. There's so many other books to choose from. That's all I have to really say about that.
Okay, so we'll leave that there, and we'll move on to the next subject, which is we're going to cover this for the next 30 minutes, and that'll be the last thing for today, because we have a friend who's streaming as well, and I don't want to cut into that. So we're going to be talking about. So this happened in 2024, right? September. 2 years, I guess 2 years ago. And so a Chinese nuclear attack submarine sank during construction, USA's, right? So this was taken from Google Earth satellite. And so they were building a submarine and it just sunk. Now, what happened with this is that's one of these crazy things, right? Because it was being built, the safety things went on. And now it's causing a problem in the Philippine Islands, and it's poisoning the ocean and the seas there. So let me get where is my, I think this is the one here. And we're just going to watch this through once it pops up. Here we go. Move this, bring this on. So yeah. All right. So after 2 years, it is now pouring out iodine 129, which I'm not a scientist, so it takes me, all I'm going to say is it's radiation that's not good for you, not good for fish, and not good to have it in fish because it's gonna like, it's if you eat the stuff, it's not good for your body. And I mean fish, eating it, and then we eat the fish, right? So let me get this last link, and here we go.
In 2026, researchers detected unusually high concentrations of the radioactive isotope iodine-129 in the waters of the West Philippine Sea. The substance, with a half-life of 15.7 million years, is rarely produced by nature. It is also a unique fingerprint of human nuclear activity and disasters. A report from the University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute instantly sent shockwaves through the geopolitical landscape of the Far East. This scientific method is precise. This is neither a natural phenomenon nor existing pollution from Fukushima or North Korea. High concentrations of iodine-129 can only originate from a severe meltdown or a leak from a nuclear reactor core. In recent years, the only catastrophic event in the upstream waters of the Western Pacific that fits this description is the 2024 mysterious sinking of the Chinese nuclear submarine in the Wuchang section of the Yangtze River. Decoding the death's fingerprint. This is not wastewater, it's dead water. Inside a nuclear reactor, iodine-129 is locked deep within the fuel rods at the bone marrow of the reactor. Ordinary cooling water discharge or even minor pipe leaks will not contain high concentrations of iodine-129. It is only when the zirconium alloy shell of the nuclear fuel rods completely breaks and the reactor core undergoes a physical meltdown that these toxins from deep within the reactor are released. Thus, when scientists detected it in the sea, what they were seeing was not just wastewater, but the blood that flowed from the reactor after it was disemboweled. This directly proves that the submarine did not suffer a simple mechanical failure, but underwent a catastrophic nuclear disaster. Aside from its terrifying 15.7 million year half-life, for the human body, the substance also has a deadly biological deception. The human thyroid needs iodine to synthesize hormones, but it cannot differentiate between good and bad iodine. When you consume seafood containing iodine-129, your thyroid treats it as a nutrient, actively absorbing and locking it inside the gland. Once it settles in, it begins emitting beta and gamma radiation inside your body. This is not external radiation. It is zero-distance internal bombing. It continues to break DNA strands, leading to thyroid cancer, metabolic disorders, and genetic mutations. It is a miniature nuclear bomb cloaked as a nutrient. So, where exactly did this iodine-129 come from? Let's take a look at the unspeakable truths hidden in the report from the University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute. The report shows that the concentration of iodine-129 in the West Philippine Sea, WPS, is 1.5 to 1.7 times higher than in other parts of the Philippines waters, such as the Sulu Sea and the Philippine Rise. This proves that the pollution exists and is regionally concentrated. This is not global radiation. There is a source continuously delivering it to this area. Faced with such alarming data, the researchers provided an extremely conservative hypothesis. The source may come from the Yellow Sea, citing nuclear tests decades ago and emissions from European nuclear fuel reprocessing plants that settled in northeast China soil and were then washed down. This Yellow Sea old account theory is logically faulty. If it were the remains of nuclear tests from decades ago, why was there a sudden abnormal spike in 2026? The remnants should have either decayed year by year or remained stable. A pulse like this is impossible. Only a new event can explain such a new spike in iodine-129. The report acknowledges that the transmission path is the Chinese coastal current. Look at the map. This current does pass through the Yellow Sea, but it also passes through the Yangtze River mouth. The Yangtze River mouth is located south of the Yellow Sea. If it were the old remnants from the Yellow Sea, they would have been diluted long ago. However, if the fresh, high-concentration wastewater from the 2024 submarine incident was just injected to the Yangtze River mouth and then followed the same current southward, this could perfectly explain why the concentration is abnormally high. Reviewing related academic papers from 2025, such as monitoring data from Science of the Total Environment, it becomes apparent that the background level of iodine-129 along China's East China Sea coast began to show unexplained disturbances at the end of 2024. This perfectly aligns with the time when the wastewater reached the river mouth, 6 months after the Wuchang submarine sink accident. Scientists may be hesitant to name the source due to political reasons, but ocean currents and isotopes do not lie. The red curve in the West Philippine Sea represents the delayed confession from the nuclear submarine that rests at the bottom of the Yangtze River. Moreover, nearby nuclear facilities could not have released iodine-129. China's coastal nuclear power plants, which use pressurized water reactors, primarily discharge tritium and will never contain high concentrations of iodine-129. Only if a catastrophic accident occurred, such as a core meltdown or a safety shell explosion, could this happen. If such an event occurred, satellites would have already captured heat spots and the International Atomic Energy Agency would have been alerted, making it impossible to cover up. North Korea's facilities are deep inland, and there have been no significant leak reports in the past 2 years. Even if a leak occurred, contaminated water would first enter the northern Yellow Sea, affecting Japanese and South Korean waters. It would never bypass them and appear directly in the Philippine Sea. Thus, having ruled out all conventional options, the only remaining variable on the map is the Type 041 Jo Class Submarine that sank in the Wuchang section of the Yangtze River in May 2024. Only this one experienced catastrophic physical damage. Only this one sank in the water without protection during mooring trials. Only this one had all the physical conditions for the release of iodine-129 due to fuel rod damage. This iodine-129 is the toxic residue released after the death of that submarine. Let's turn the clock back to May 2024. At the Wuchang shipyard, a Jo Class nuclear submarine representing the latest technology of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, sank into the Yangtze River in broad daylight like a rock. Many people might ask, just because the ship sank doesn't mean it will leak, right? If it was in a cold shutdown state, it's just a hunk of scrap metal falling into the water. The problem is that at the time, the submarine was undergoing mooring trials and its nuclear reactor was in an active state. When the submarine sank, the external power supply was cut off. The cooling pumps stopped instantly. The reactor core, which was operating at high temperatures, lost its cooling circulation, while cold river water flooded the compartments, directly impacting the hot upper walls of the reactor. And extreme thermal expansion and contraction caused catastrophic brittle fractures in the pipes and pressure vessels. The iodine-129 inside was released like floodwaters from an open gate, mixing with the ink.
So, from what I understand, with my limited scientific brain, right, when it comes to armaments, when it comes to iodines and minerals and all that, right, chemicals, is that this thing that's now in the water in the Philippines, it's going to be moving across the world as the waves and currents, whatever, carried across. Or once it's inside the fish, and as the fish migrate, they're going to be carrying it out around the world, right, for generations. He said something like there was like a shelf life of like about a couple hundred years, right? So this thing is going to be out there. It's going to be out there, basically, in the water, into the food, into the other fishes that we don't eat, into the other animals in the oceans, right? And yet nobody is really talking about it, and political discussions are keeping it away from saying, yeah, it's the Chinese, they did this, it's their fault. Just like the COVID thing, wasn't in Wuhan, but we know it wasn't Wuhan because they shut it down, and they shut down the scientists who were saying that's from Wuhan.
So what is the rest of the world going to be doing about it? Because this sounds like an environmental kind of catastrophe that we should all be working on fixing.
I don't know, man. I really don't know because not many people are talking about this. The first time, I mean, I remember watching this happen 2 years ago, right? With this going down, because I actually pay a lot of attention to things coming out of global news all the time, daily actually, and so I saw when the news came about this thing, the ship's submarine sinking, right at the dock. I was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. And then 2 years later, to realize that there's this thing, this very, very bad iodine that isn't good for our human bodies is leaking out there and it's getting carried away in the currents. This is going to be dangerous, like you said, environmentally, but really for food, our fisheries, right? Our food source, and what else is it going to do? But to the environment, right? It's pretty scary. I was thinking about it, like, when we have a fallout like radiation on Earth, right, on land, it's really bad. Like, you remember like that train crash when all that chemical, I think it was in like Ohio, about the same time, maybe 2 years ago, and it leaked all that chemicals into the air, and all that chemical was in the waterways, and the water was looked like it was oil on top, and I was like, man, that's really now happening in the water, right? In the ocean, but in a different way where you don't see the chemicals. It's actually just leaking into it without even noticing. But these guys, the researchers are saying that, yeah, it's definitely the submarine. Yes, it's definitely this iodine. Yes, it's definitely this thing. And it's China that's caused it.
Coming
I
river
was just
water.
looking something.
This was an under.
Sorry, but carry on.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm looking up something. Just continue.
Okay.
Water implosion. While there was no mushroom cloud, the highly toxic radioactive material silently entered the Yangtze River. Why would a nuclear submarine sink at the dock? Because at the critical moment of the main system failure, the PLA's proud backup system also failed. Senior military analyst Jeffrey Wang pointed out that nuclear submarines are equipped with backup power and emergency venting systems. If the main power fails, there are backup motors. If the backup motors fail, there are massive battery packs. Thus, the sinking of this submarine points directly to the deep corruption within the Chinese military-industrial system. Since the rocket force's missile fuel might actually be laced with water, and missile silo covers can fail to open, why should the Navy's submarine backup batteries be exempt from being substandard products? The PLA, with the mindset of "there's always a backup, no need to worry," ended up cutting corners on both systems. As a result, when both systems needed to function simultaneously, disaster struck. But we can't simply summarize all this with the word corruption. We must dive deeper into the PLA Navy's radical technological roadmap to examine the situation. The sunken Jo Class nuclear submarine is essentially a Frankenstein from a technological standpoint, a monster forcibly stitched together for political performance targets. Traditional nuclear submarines are either purely nuclear-powered or use conventional diesel-electric propulsion. However, intelligence suggests that in pursuit of the so-called fast-track approach, the Jo Class submarine likely adopted an unproven hybrid propulsion system, nuclear power plus lithium batteries. They attempted to use lithium batteries for ultra-quiet, low-speed cruising, and nuclear power for high-speed sprinting. The nuclear reactor requires an extremely stable cooling environment, while the giant lithium battery pack is notoriously unstable and dangerous. Placing a high-temperature reactor next to a flammable and explosive lithium battery inside the narrow pressure hull is a nightmare in terms of engineering safety. It is highly likely that the battery pack experienced thermal runaway during charging or testing, triggering a fire that spread to the reactor's cooling circuit, causing the dual failure tragedy. This is a suicidal design flaw. In addition to the reckless design, there was a loophole of basic craftsmanship. After the Soviet Union collapsed, although the CCP gained access to some kilo class.
Just before we go into the Soviet Union connection, Oh gosh, no, I forgot my train of thought. We'll come back to that.
What kind of iodine is it?
129.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
How about
Okay.
129?
After the Soviet Union.
Yeah, 129.
Continue.
Okay.
Collapsed. Although the CCP gained access to some Kilo class submarine blueprints, they never mastered the core material smelting technology. The submarine's loop pipes must withstand extremely high pressure and radiation, requiring special low cobalt stainless steel or zirconium alloys. However, in the military industrial system's layers of subcontracting, these critical pipes were likely replaced with civilian grade steel. Under the double assault of freshwater corrosion and thermal stress, these knockoff pipes became as brittle.
See, China has this whole propaganda machine that they spend billions of dollars in the West promoting themselves as we're the most advanced, we're the most technically sound, we are so far ahead of the world, we're better than America, we're better than the West, we're so advanced. But the problem here is the West does R&D. They spend billions and millions and dollars or whatever for whatever project they're doing in research and development. Chinese basically take what they can get from that and they copy it or steal it or bribe people to send them the information or sell them information, right? And then they take that and they make their own thing and then say, yeah, we're so advanced. But the problem here is they never understand the reason certain things are used in certain places is because of years of research that's what works and that's what's safe. So these guys take these research from other countries and these designs and stuff, and they make their own. And they, when it comes to working, it doesn't work. See, that's a lithium battery I was talking about. So lithium battery, right? The power packs, like the remote power packs, whatever, the ones where you just put your phones on it and it just charges without any wires. Those things made in China are now called that are copies of American brands, basically are blowing up. They're catching fire all by their own selves. There was a hotel fire, I think it was in Hong Kong or in Japan, right? That was caused by that. There was one on a plane that caught fire. And so planes have now said, like, no, you cannot bring in these portable chargers, right? These wireless portable chargers, because they catch fire. Imagine being in the sky and somebody snuck one on or didn't even realize they had it and wasn't checked, right? And it catches fire. The entire plane now is on fire and it's falling out. So I would never get a portable charger, man. After hearing that, I was like, shit, no wireless portable charger for me, for my phones. I'm okay with the wires. Thank you very much. Yeah, it looks tacky. It's, another friggin' wire that's lying there. I'm okay with that, right? If that's going to help make me feel secure and safe. And this is why whenever somebody says to me that, oh, look, China's so advanced, I'm going, I know enough about how China works and know that whatever you're talking about, you haven't researched enough to talk about that, right? Understanding the propaganda. You're believing the propaganda, right? So these guys basically use cheap human, like house grade steel instead of like industrial military grade steel. Oh, that was the other thing I was saying. Americans, the reason there's so much money put into into the army and military is because the cost to make everything top grade, right?
As far as my research, the incident right now is considered too small to endanger the rest of the planet so far. I think the people who should be worried is probably the people who live around the Philippines.
Yeah. And Philippines, like with the other thing I want to show you, is Philippines basically has been coming under attack from China for ages. Like all the time, daily. They're like the military, you know, has been basically the Chinese ships, the Chinese Navy is encroaching upon the Philippines oceans, right, and seas. And now, like I'm going to show you this one as we finish off here, they've been pushing and bullying Philippines for ages. And so Philippines has now just said to America, we want all in with you guys. We can't. And this is what people don't understand about China, is that China's been bullying the Asian islands, Asian countries for a while now. And so what's happening is that while everybody, the left in America is going, America bad, the Asians around the world are going, please help us. Singapore, right? In this case, Philippines, right? India is going, yeah, we want to side with you against China, right? Only the silly people don't understand that, like, you know, Russia, Iran, and Qatar, North Korea, and China are detriment. You know, their way of doing things is against humanity, right? See here, they use this one clip here. I'm just going to show you guys as we finish off. This is to do with like Chinese using cyanide, right, in the Philippine waters to catch fish, right? They're not fishing in their own areas. They're fishing in somebody else's waters, right? And then using cyanide to catch those fish.
Welcome to the program. A Philippine Coast Guard air patrol detects Chinese vessels inside the country's exclusive economic zone. The ships were spotted shortly after the Philippine Navy drove out Chinese boats that were using cyanide to harvest.
So when they say exclusive economic zones, which means there's like I think it's about 200 miles, right? Around a country, that's your water, that nobody's allowed to enter that zone from another country without permission from that country's water, right? So we can't, like, we had this a while back in around the 2000s and 90s when the Chinese used to come into our waters and chase, you know, friggin' fish, whales and stuff. Even Japanese back then, right, under another government was doing that, and we were like, no, you're not going to get away with doing that, right? And so there was a huge anti-Japanese sentiment in the Pacifics because we saw that they were like pushing their weight around. Now it's the Chinese who are doing it, right? So Japanese are now just under new leadership and just said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to, you know, mind our own business. We're going to fish in our own waters. We're going to look after our own ecosystems, right? But now you've got, you know, Chinese moving everywhere in everybody's waters. Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, just fishing because they say they got a billion people. They haven't. They've got 600 million people, right? 600 to 800, but definitely not a billion.
Inside the country's exclusive economic zone. The ships were spotted shortly after the Philippine Navy drove out Chinese boats that were using cyanide to harvest fish from the Ayungin Shoal. Jesse Cruzat reports.
A Philippine Coast Guard aircraft flew on Tuesday morning to conduct a maritime domain awareness flight within the Philippine exclusive economic zone. During the patrol, Chinese vessels were again spotted, including a China Coast Guard ship with bow number 3106, sailing 59 nautical miles west of Iba, Zambales. Not far away, a People's Liberation Army Navy ship with bow number 575 and another unidentified vessel were also spotted.
The only instance na masasabi nating tumaas talaga significantly yung China Coast Guard and the PLA Navy warship is whenever they are also monitoring a high number of Filipino fishing vessels that are supported by BFAR and even the Philippine Coast Guard.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Navy now has custody of the confiscated gallons of alleged cyanide from 3 Chinese nationals caught fishing in the waters of Ayungin Shoal last Friday night.
The liquid that's suspected to be cyanide is now in the possession of the Philippine Navy personnel aboard BRP Sierra Madre, and on the first opportune time, ito ay babalik natin sa Palawan para ipatest natin.
The Navy cannot have it as a protocol. Kaya nga minabuti nila na i-release na lang again baka i-charge pa tayo for humanitarian reasons.
The National Maritime Council reiterated the Philippines' rights in the West Philippine Sea issue. According to the council, the Philippines has filed 49 diplomatic protests against China, despite China's declaration of Bajo de Masinloc as its nature reserve last September.
Our sovereignty is not up for debate. Our duty is not negotiable. Through the National Maritime Council, we have continued to strengthen coordination among our agencies, support our frontliners at sea, and make sure every action we take is anchored on law.
The council added that in the third quarter of the year, from July to September, a total of 256 fishing boats of Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea received supplies and assistance from the government, including fuel and groceries. The government, they say, will not stop conducting maritime domain operations and patrols in the West Philippine Sea, a sign of the country's commitment to upholding and defending its sovereign rights over the disputed waters. Jesse Cruzat, ABS-CBN News.
Now, I think that's us for today. Tim, do you have anything to say as we finish off here?
Nothing out of the ordinary. Just sounds like the world is pretty fucked. Oh, and click on my linked tree and buy my incredibly horrible books. They're incredibly awful, and you'll love them. Thank you.
Yeah, the link's in the video description or stream description, as they say. If you like what we're doing here, if you want to support us, all the links are there. But also like, share, subscribe. This is the MPST show, which is the monkey politics and shit throwing show, and we do this every Monday, Sunday, US time, Sunday, Monday, New Zealand, and then also Friday, Saturday, which is Saturday, New Zealand time, Friday, US time. So thank you for hanging out with us, guys.
Yes, yes. Hopefully next time I'll be on time and not forget.
Well, I mean, you're pretty busy trying to sort some stuff out that's very important to you. So I don't mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a good week. Good week, I should say. We'll catch you on Friday, Saturday, and wherever you are. Be safe and take care of yourself and each other. Family. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Ka kite ano. Catch you on the next one.
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.